Hi, I'm Ken Carter. And okay, I'll admit it, I'm kind of a nerd. But these days, folks around here are realizing that being a nerd is not such a bad thing. We're finally starting to get some respect. However, there's still one big misconception about nerdhood. People think, oh, they're so successful and they're always showing off how smart they are. They must love working all the time. But actually, that couldn't be further from the truth. I don't love to work. I love to hang out and play Dungeons and Dragons in the computer lab with my friends. I'm a level 17 warlock, for crying out loud. So why this misconception? Well, you know Bill Gates? He's pretty much the king of all the nerds, right? And he summed up the mindset like this. Choose a lazy person to do a hard job, because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it. But he really wasn't talking about lazy people. He was talking about nerds. I mean, why do you think Bill Gates spends so much time trying to put his competitors out of business? It's because it's way easier than building a better operating system. All right, that was a cheap shot. But what I'm getting at is that Principal Sue is definitely not a nerd. And if he wants to spend 80 hours a week doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, good for him. But my advice, to be successful around here, spend your energy figuring out the easiest way to do your job. That way, you can get ahead and still have time for D&D or whatever else you're into. Okay, now let's get practical. What's the easiest way to do contracts? Well, the answer is obviously to automate everything you possibly can. And that's been my obsession for the past few years. And it all started with Workflow Designer. For example, here's my universal NDA. I hate working on NDAs. So I drafted a standard NDA with a series of standard fallback clauses, and then with Workflow Designer, I built it ironclad. I've also added logic to the template generation, approvals, and counterparty negotiation. So now I just get the emails that say, hey, another NDA's been signed. Hey, another NDA's been signed. Okay, so last piece of advice is kind of out there, so bear with me. Basically, I think we're about to collectively level up when it comes to contracts. To use an analogy in the old world, doing this stuff was kind of like those mail-away computer kits. You know, the ones that are best for people who really wanted to get into it. But people are starting to realize that we nerds are onto something. We've had people from sales ops, HR, finance come to me and say, hey, Ken, show me this thing that you're working on. And all of a sudden it's starting to go mainstream. I mean, I'm not the only one building workflows anymore. And at first, I was a little worried because these are my babies. And frankly, what happens if they screw something up? But that hasn't been a problem. Turns out, today's Workflow Designer is a lot more like this bodacious Mac. You can't screw it up. You try something that doesn't work, you roll it back and try again. So I think what we're starting to see, and what I'm really excited about, is the nerd mentality going mainstream. Imagine a world where everyone is always building the easiest way to do everything. That future will be rad. Well, that's all for me. But if you want to nerd out, I'm always down. You know where to find me, right here in the computer lab.